In this video, I'm gonna try to teach you how to sound like Steve Lacy. I've been requested this God knows how many times, but the time has come, boys. Also, before we begin this video, thank you for 2,000 subscribers. I just found out this weekend, it's like, bro, it seems small to you normies, but to me it means a lot, so thank you. If you want to be a part of the journey, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for more tutorials like this. But anyway, let's get started. Now, we already run at some crossroads. Depending on who I'm talking to, right? Because Steve Lacy, obviously super talented guy, multi-instrumentalist, and also sings very well. For that reason, I refuse to believe he uses autotunes. No matter how many settings I'm trying, it just doesn't work. He's an R&B singer. He naturally doesn't use autotune. Now, if you're somebody that is not exactly that good at singing or can't keep the pitch, I mean, we might have a bit of a problem. Like, I have Autotune Pro right here, and I would say the best I can probably give to you is, as long as you have the humanize at 100 and the retune speed as low as possible, I'd say you're good. The only problem is, no matter how low you have it, you can still sort of tell it's autotune. Like, I'm gonna play right now. Like, bro, I have the retune speed at 252 and it still sounds robotic. For those who don't know, retune speed is how fast your pitch is corrected on the autotune, and humanize makes it sound as human as possible when it's at a high retune speed. Look, my advice would be, like, if you're trying to make music like Steve Lacy, you should probably have like some decent experience in singing, because it just doesn't sound right having autotune here. So before you begin, I'd suggest either taking lessons or just trying to learn by yourself or something. This is the most I can give to you. So the next thing we have over here is the Fruity multiband compressor. And the reason I chose this compressor over the Fruity compressor or the Fruity limiter is that, unlike those ones, it actually targets 3 different frequencies. You can compress 3 specific frequencies, which I think is great. So I'm gonna run down real quick the settings. So for the low band or the low frequencies, I have it threshold 19.8 decibels, a ratio of 1.7 to 1, a knee of 68%, an attack of 54 milliseconds, a release of 360 milliseconds, and a gain of 0 decibels. Then for threshold, I have a negative 19 decibels, a ratio of 1.6 to 1, a knee of 76%, an attack of 22 milliseconds, a release of 230 milliseconds, and a gain of about 4 decibels. And finally, for the high band, I have negative 11.4 decibels, a ratio of 3.4 to 1, a knee of 96%, an attack of 5 milliseconds, a release of 20 milliseconds, and a gain of 4.1 decibels. And with that, your vocals sound like this. So here's like a comparison. As you can see, much louder and much more powerful than without it, so definitely recommended. Just a quick break from this video, but if you're trying to release your music on Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, click the link in the description below, because it will give you 7% off DistroKid, which is easily the best music distributor you can be using. DistroKid's already just 20 bucks, so 7% off that is just even better. It helps me out when you do it, so it's a win-win situation. So consider doing it, just clicking the first link in the description. I have a limiter, but not really to use the ceiling. The main reason I have it is for the noise gate. Now, if you're just starting out recording, I can imagine that you have like really noticeable white noise or background noise whenever you record, and it's definitely a pain in the ass. I know the struggle. And I found that the best way to fix it is to use this noise gate right here. So as you can see, all the purple over here is like just background noise, just white noise. And in order to remove it, I added a threshold over here. For me, it's at negative 30 decibels. To you, obviously, it depends on the case-by-case basis. But anything under the orange, as you can slightly see over here, as soon as you have the gain turned to 0, you can't hear it anymore. So I 100% recommend doing that. The release, more than anything, is just to make it as smooth as possible. I barely touched it. I mean, I ended up moving it to about 135 milliseconds, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just something cool to have in case you need it. But this is a definite recommend for any of you who have problems with background noise. So yeah, the next thing you want is a Fruity parametric EQ. And I basically have it at these settings, right? So I completely removed the sub bass, because that's where the muddiness and the rumbling comes from in a mix. I removed a bit of like the mid over here at about the 900 hertz area, kind of dipped it, and I raised the high mids, the 350 or the 3500 area. You would go to default, and first of all for the sub bass you go to type, high pass, and then an order of about 8. And I tried to focus it in this like line in the middle of here in the C2 area at about 80 hertz essentially. Then for the mid, I drag this down over here. The high mids, I raise it at about 500 at about here, and basically just left it like this. And then one last thing for like to make the vocals crispy, I added a sound goodizer. It's about, I'm not sure what amount this is, I'm assuming it's like a 15% or whatever. But yeah, basically just left it like this, and it sounds pretty good. So this is how it sounds. Sounds pretty crispy. And one last thing, I'm not actually gonna end up using the delay. I don't think it's necessary in this instance. But one thing you do definitely need is some reverb. Now, I feel like his vocals are very bare in comparison to a bunch of other artists that I talk about on this channel. So even the reverb, you really do not need that much. The only things I changed in this instance was the room size, 23%. I don't know if that's percent or whatever, but I just have it like that. And the only other thing I changed was the wet, which I put at 35%. And you're gonna see it's not that much, but it sounds good in my opinion. It gives some necessary space. So it sounds like this. You can barely notice it. You can mess around with the stereo separation as well. And make sure to crank the mix level to like 70%. I don't know how he sings, so I'm gonna try and improvise. I don't know what to say. I'm just gonna stop. But anyway, boys, this has basically been the video for today. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it has, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for more tutorials like this. I do them on every genre possible: rap, indie, R&B, you name it. But I also do it on different DAWs: GarageBand, Audacity, FL Studio. This video was recommended to me by a fellow subscriber, so if you have ideas for other videos that I should be doing, other topics, make sure to comment it down below because I read all comments. And once again, I'll repeat, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. It means the world to me. But anyway, boys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Can we break this game?